Hello, I'm Carolyn Monahan, the Director of Marketing and Communications with the Michigan West Coast Chamber of Commerce. Today's member question comes on the heels of the new MIOSHA COVID Workplace guidelines that went into effect last week. These policies impact industries across the spectrum, and we've invited an expert to help us understand more about the rules and compliance. I'm joined by Sean Egan, who's the Director of Workplace Safety and the Deputy Director with the Michigan Department of Labor. And Sean's here to give us some clarity. So welcome, Sean. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
So you have a busy job. So can you tell us what changes to the prior workplace requirements are included in these new rules?
So one of the things that we were really shooting for is just consistency across what businesses had come to understand with the executive orders and from MIOSHA and what these rules look like, recognizing that MIOSHA does not have the authority to issue orders, which can be changed more readily. These are rules. So we really looked at what tools will we need in place for the next several months. And that might not be subject to change as often. So I think employers, for the most part, should find a lot of consistency between what was required before and what is required moving forward.
So are there any specific areas of the rules that you're getting the most questions about?
Certainly, I think one for certain industries, there were some temperature requirements, temperature taking requirements. Those have been changed to if possible. We would definitely encourage employers to continue doing that if they are, but recognizing that that might be one of those moving targets for different types of workplaces depending on DHHS. We've been getting a lot of questions about two specific points. One is the record keeping requirements for customers and visitors, which there aren't any if you're open to the public. But for employees and contractors, you do need to maintain that daily log, including whether they passed or failed that questionnaire. And then finally, we included a rule regarding remote work that requires employers to create a policy prohibiting in-person work to the extent feasible. And what the question we're getting there is, what does feasible mean? Well, MIOSHA is going to give a lot of deference to the employer. They're just going to look at the policy to make sure that you've given it a reasonable, thoughtful approach of why some people need to be in and some people don't.
Okay. So what is it that employers can do to make sure that they are in compliance?
First and foremost is just good faith, right? Just making sure that you're actually trying to be in compliance is step number one. Some of the things that we've seen, and I know that you've seen in the media some citations. I always note, there's been about 4,000 complaints and we've seen news on 35 citations. So that means that MIOSHA is working really well with employers to really get them to incorporate these rather than just cite on them. That's going to continue. But make sure they're doing that, using that good faith effort to adhere. Make sure you have a plan, make sure you're requiring masks where they need to be, allowing that good hygiene, doing the daily health screenings, just some of those pieces that we should all be pretty familiar with now.
Sure. So when they have questions, are there any ways employers can get help with compliance?
We have been, since the outset, providing tools and resources continuously, and we have a wonderful website. It's michigan.gov/COVID Workplace Safety. All of the guidelines for all of the industries are posted there. Those are MIOSHA created guidelines, and they have been updated already to recognize the differences between the executive orders that existed and the emergency rules. Make sure you're checking in with MDHHS. They're going to have those capacity limits and some of those customer masking and contact tracing requirements that you're going to need to pay attention to. We have a hotline that employers and employees can use that we started in May. It's 855-SAFE-C19 that goes directly into MIOSHA. The average wait time, get this, 12 seconds last week was the average wait time. So make sure you're taking advantage of this. It's for COVID questions that gets you right to the experts that can help you navigate through this. And then certainly we've launched a proactive consultation program. This is not a citation program. It's just consultation, what that we call the ambassador program, where some of our folks would just be popping in with a checklist of things that you could be doing. They're not there to cite you. Make sure you invite them in, talk through the checklist, and then if you have time, they can do a more enhanced consultation for a couple of hours to work through specifics in your workplace. So we have the tools and resources, and employers can always request a consultation from MIOSHA and take advantage of these resources for sure.
Well, it sounds like these are resources that we are definitely going to put on our website so that our members have quick access to. We'll get that out in all of our communications as well. That's phenomenal, a 12-second wait. I've never heard of a 12-second wait
Absolutely.
before.
Yeah, it's pretty much waiting for the phone tree, you know.
Wow. So you must have really staffed up tremendously to make this happen.
Absolutely, and frankly, it's underutilized. I would like to see the numbers of use go up for employers. A lot of employers are still calling the regular MIOSHA line, so we are getting more calls there too, which makes sense because you would just Google MIOSHA. But make sure you use that hotline. But yeah, absolutely, they set up a great process to make sure those calls are answered timely, and it's a great resource.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and helping us understand this because, like I said to you earlier, I don't even know what I don't know. And there's so much information coming at businesses all the time right now, and they really want to be in compliance. They want to stay open. They want to keep their employees safe and the public safe. And we know that that is what you are helping us do. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate your time talking to me today.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.